Cappy has got to be one of the best sidekicks Mario has ever had. Throwing this hat allowed him to improve his movement, make really far and really high jumps, and of course, capture things. But one day, Mario and Bowser were having one of their battles on the airship when the giant top hat hit Mario and sent him flying. Princess Peach was so traumatized by the experience that she made a new rule that throwing hats is now banned. Cappy can still ride on Mario's head, but he must stay there at all times and never be thrown for anything. Well, once the adventure starts, he has to run over to the bridge and pick him up to begin with. But then this lever threatens to ruin the entire thing. Apparently, Mario is not strong enough to pull it with his hands, but there may be a loophole. You see, Toadette is the one tracking the Cappy throws for the princess, and she's kind of at the hands of Bowser right now. But the Mushroom Girl is a great person to attend this job right now because she sees everything, including how many times Cappy is thrown. But she'll only take note if Cappy is thrown fully in front of Mario and he does a complete spin. This means if he were to just walk up to something like this lever, stand right next to it, and send Cappy out, he will not be doing the motions of a complete throw. Therefore, Toadette will just look away for the moment. Perfect for getting across the bridge, but then there's the door right after. Again, Mario can't open it himself, and there's no other way up the tower. But there was something he could do. Push Cappy into the door to open it, but before Toadette could process anything, save what just happened, leave the area immediately, and come back in. Bingo! A cap throw was not recorded, and the door is open. Luckily, cap throws also don't get recognized if Mario is right next to captures, so those are still legal. This is also pretty useful for opening the second door at the top. Way less complicated if the frog is there to help out. And Topper can just be defeated with jumps only, and no hats at all. If Mario can get through Cap Kingdom without throwing Cappy, anything is possible. Things were a bit more simple going into Cascade because Mario knew exactly what to do now. There were a few captures of Chain Chomps around, but nothing to worry about as long as he got close enough. Also, can't throw Cappy while in a 2D space, huh? But once the top was reached and he started the Madame Brood fight, there became another issue. Mario had to capture the Gold Chomp, but he could only do that with Cappy if he was right next to it and he hopped in right away. Can't really do that if the Chomp is wearing a hat. Mario could get around this though by running at his target, using Cappy to knock off the hat, then taking damage right after. This should end Mario's throw early enough for it to not be complete. Now he should be able to capture them just like before, and this boss was no problem. Moving on, there would be a lot more freedom in sand, so how was Mario going to collect all of these moons without Cappy? Well, it was a bit slower than usual, of course, and certain things had to be done in some pretty unique ways, but he made some good progress in the town. After that, he went to the ruins and tried to make this jump up the ice. Normally, it's really easy, but with just triple jumping, wall jumping, and diving with no extra bounce, not so much. Just getting on the pillar from the ground is a challenge. Then he had to do a very precise jump from the edge, wall jump at the highest possible point on this marking, then turn and dive to just barely make it up. That felt pretty good. Bullet bills in this place could also be captured with good timing. That made a few things possible, but this jump seemed to be less so. Unfortunate, but no big deal, as there were plenty of moons around here that could be collected. Lake was also kind of similar in that sense, but that's not to say there were no problems. Mario tried to perform the shortcut over the wall, but Cappy could not give him the boost he needed, and the Goombas weren't close enough to capture, so he just had to do something that was very unusual and swim through the underwater tunnel all the way to the main area. Luckily, he had been through way too much throughout his life to have any claustrophobia, so he stayed calm all the way through here and collected a few more moons underwater. But then he couldn't jump from the surface up to the arena platform. Thankfully, the residents here have provided this tube filled with water that Mario used almost Never. But today, it was his savior. Rango could then be defeated in the same quick way, even if it's slightly harder. And then it's off to Wooded. The first few moons in here were no trouble, but then Mario tried making a huge jump to get up the waterfall. After bonking his head for a few minutes, he realized it was close, but it wasn't going to be enough. So he just took the long way, all the way up this wall. If just getting up to this platform was a challenge, Nutclip is most certainly not getting done. But it's okay, because there should still be enough around here. Mario just had to capture this uproot, and then he had nothing to worry about as he got every moon along this path. The same thing could also be done in the tower before scaling all the way up, then of course jumping back down to the bottom to grab the nut around the corner and flooded pipes. Cappy usually makes it a little faster to swim, but as long as patience is there, it's no trouble. Now he could warp back up to defeat Spewer. He had enough to leave, and then they had a little stop in Cloud where there would be a bit of a challenge. Not even with the boss. No, the hardest part was just making it from this platform to the arena. Mario couldn't just throw out Cappy to activate the clouds, so what was he going to do? Thankfully, the Odyssey is still here, and he could utilize that. First, Mario could toss Cappy right onto this pole on the back, which Toadette would not recognize as a throw. Then, if he got on top and quickly rolled over to the clouds, Cappy would follow him and activate the first one just in time. Then Mario just had to make a huge leap with only his triple jump and dive to do it. Now it's pretty straightforward. All it took was the usual movement for fast hats, just like Mario had always done. Don't see any hats getting thrown here. Everything happens so quick. Once in Lost Kingdom, Mario wishes he could do Meme Tree, but instead realizes he must give in to his old bird friend and let Cappy get stolen. Mario could be really safe and get 10 moons just like this, but come on, he would never let his hat suffer for longer than he had to. Once he was returned, Mario could just go back around the mountain and even a wall jump all the way up to fill up those moon slots. There were a couple of doors in the way and trap beetles which using seemed less than ideal, but by making a few precise jumps over the poison, there were just barely enough to move on. Metro was next, and of course Mario was not getting over these buildings like he's used to. Instead, he could hop on the scooter and moon jump up the building to drive across. Not using Cappy means that a lot more stairs and elevators have to be used throughout here, but that means Mario still had a way of getting up to Mecha Wiggler. Now he should be able to carefully capture the tank and defeat this robot. Then it's a pretty simple journey through Day Metro. There's plenty of moons scattered around, and most of them have some way of being collected without Cappy needing to fly, except for when the wires had to be captured, of course, because can't forget about that one. Throughout the course of this, 3 musicians gave Mario story moons, and with 2 more needed to leave, he finished by becoming the city's best jump roper. It's not like jumping isn't allowed. That never happens. Snow was also not too bad for our hero, only because of how the bridge is, a little bit of a different route was needed, but it's fine, everything was still collected in this room. Now, what would be the best rooms for Mario to clear without needing to throw Cappy or capture anything? First, he decided on the Rango room since he can just ground pound these plugs, but for the fight itself, it's the return of the harder quick kill. Jumping through his body takes almost perfect timing when stalling in the air is not an option, but after a little bit, he got it down, and then he could try the shards room. This was so much easier since the Bifrost just do all the work. He still needed 2 more. Snowdram isn't even worth thinking about, and he was too broke from all these deaths to buy one at the shop. Thankfully, there were 2 rooms left, and 1 in each that did not require any captures. Now it is Seaside time, and this place has probably changed the least. It's not full of no challenges though, because 2 of the first few moons were too high to reach, but Mario could just capture a Gushin and problem solved. Then there's the underwater part, and of course there's a capture for that as well, so Mario can collect all the moons he needs with a Cheep Cheep. Well, almost all of them. Fish Clip was a problem because uncapturing is needed to set it up, but then he can't recapture if he can't get right next to it after that. To fix this, he still grabbed the 2 moons he would have, just by swimming to them a little slower, and just talking to the Sphinx. Do you know what this place is called? After almost 7 years of it existing, you better. Luncheon shouldn't be too bad bad, but Mario is kind of boxed in here at the starting area. Thankfully, there is a lava bubble here close enough to a platform for Mario to capture. Then he can go back to the salt pile on the roof and run over to fight Spewart. But the problem with this kingdom is that there's quite a lot of stuff that Cappy is needed for, whether it's opening cap doors, pulling up turnips, or just making jumps to where moons are. This means a lot of stuff is off limits. He would have to make up for it by completing the story. Capturing a pan bro for the cheese rocks and capturing the meat up the cliff was alright to do, but Mario would definitely be needing that other multi-moon. At least the lava bubbles are used for pretty much everything else, so he could swim through the cave, make a slightly more tedious climb up the back, and get up to the pot to take down Kukateel. Ruined initially seems like a kingdom that would cause some problems, but actually, no. Similar to captures, if Mario is standing close enough to these things stuck on the ground, Cappy will pull them right out and not be sent out far enough to have a throw be counted. So this place is super easy, and Mario was amazed that he had made it this far without a single full throw of his hat. Maybe he really wouldn't have to break the rules at all. He was in the home stretch. Bowser's was next, and all this place has is a bunch of wires, right? Yes. Mostly. He could get to the second island, make a pretty close jump to get up to the roof where one moon was accessible, and the first story moon via the ogre. The second one also wasn't so bad, since this Pokio can still poke a bomb into the block even if it's not captured. But then after grabbing these couple of moons, Mario takes 2 wires over to the Broodals. Topper is no challenge, he just has to wait for him to spin on the ground. But Harriet is a little different. She can't be defeated without a bomb being knocked back, and the only way that can happen is with Cappy. Thankfully, waiting for the purple bombs and taking damage right as he hits it does work, even if the timing is pretty strict. But alas, it allows him to follow the rules once again. And this same trick could be done just after on one of the Pokios across the bridge. And now that it's been captured, he can go anywhere. Mario flung himself all the way up the wall and walked right up to the wire at the top, which he just captured instantly. Then for the mech fight, jumping to the top of it is about as likely as Peach never being captured again, so more Pokio it is. But it honestly feels quite satisfying watching that thing fall over. With that final multi-moon down, Mario really had made it through every kingdom without a throw of Cappy. He just had one more to go, but it was going to take a little bit longer than usual, since Moon Cave Skip is just too dang high. Was going through this whole thing the answer, though? Well, he could jump on the Parabones to capture them and fly over this gap. Then taking the next wire is simple, but after that, it gets a little complicated. There's some moving platforms where he had to dodge Hammer Bros and Wigglers, and then comes the Bonsai Bills. These are required to capture to cross this gap, but oh, look at that, they're wearing a hat. Mario can't exactly take damage on them as he knocks the hat off because that will make them explode. So is this where it ends? No, Mario would not go down like this, even if he had to do something insane. So this time, here's the plan. Step 1, knock off the hat of the Hammer Bro and capture him. Step 2, jump around all of the obstacles and take him to the bonsai area. Uncapture right here, then stand right next to him ready to recapture. And do so right as the bonsai bill is about to hit. Now the hat is off and Mario can capture it and fly all the way to the end of the cave. All that's left is Madame Brood. Her gold chomp may have more hats, but it's nothing he can't manage. It just takes a lot more time and a lot more hit points to get all these off. Hey, with some extra life up hearts, it's really nothing. Mario had done it. He's out of the cave, headed for the chapel, and it was time to save Peach. He was totally in the clear. Nothing could stop him. Oh no. He had gone through so much, so many tricks performed, so many technicalities worked out, but it was all going to end because of this door. Yeah, there was nothing he could do. Mario had to throw Cappy 3 times to open it. That is so disappointing because the final fight can be cleared easily, as already proved from earlier, and Bowser could be captured with no full throw. So that was it. Right at the end, he had to break the rules. Ultimately, she could forgive him for this because he just did what he had to, but he didn't know if he could forgive himself. Was there anything he could have done differently? He'll be thinking about that for a while. At least everyone was safe, and another injury from a hat had not happened since this rule was introduced, so it looks like it was all worth it. Thank you for watching.